Oh, look at that. All right, we finally did it. Sorry about that. We had a little bit of a weirdness with it just buffering. I don't know. That was weird.
IT guy.
Yeah, that's my problem. All right, so give me a, if you guys can hear us okay, just let me know in the chat if it sounds good, the audio's quality, if it's okay. I don't want to be talking and nobody hears us.
There we go.
You're on now. Sounds great. All right, awesome. Thanks, guys. Well, all right, welcome to the live stream. So obviously we are here because it is 5 years of tech motoring on YouTube. And we're just here to kind of celebrate the occasion. And with that, I brought a guest onto the show. So we got Kevin from Revamped EV. Thanks, Kevin, for joining me on the live stream today. So if you follow the channel, you may actually recognize Kevin. He's been in probably about 3-4 videos at least at this point. And Kevin's got a lot of experience with EVs, but in a lot of different ways than most of us, I would say. And so we'll jump into that in a little bit. In the meantime, I see some comments coming in, and Koopy, I saw you had a couple of questions there. I'm pretty sure you hit the nail on the head about the camera with the little adapter at the end that was bumping the microphone there. I think you nailed it. I think that's what it was. I thought it was my GoPro mount, but I think you hit it with that that silly cable I was using. And to answer your question, I did end up with the 131 kilowatt hour battery in the Lightning. It turns out that just 2 or 3 weeks ago, I believe, they started shipping out the F-150 Lightnings with the 120, I think it's 123 kilowatt hours. I told you about that, right?
Yeah.
They started taking a module out of the Lightning flash trims, but it increased the payload, is from what I heard. So I guess the payload is like a couple 100 pounds more or something now. But yeah, so I do have the 131 kilowatt hour battery in my truck, which I'm a little happy about. I'm glad I got it early enough where I got the slightly bigger pack in it.
Good for towing.
Which is better for towing.
Model Y, not great long distance. We can talk about that.
We're gonna talk about that too. Kevin just had a recent experience with that. All right, so let's just go down. All right. Yep. Okay, cool. So we're pretty much caught up. I know people are going to start filtering into the stream here in just a little bit, and it's good to see Sergi's down there as well. Thanks, Sergi, for joining the chat here today. And yeah, so we're going to get on with the show, I guess. And so you kind of just alluded to the towing experience that you recently had. So go ahead and tell us what you have and what you just recently did.
Yeah. So I drive a 2022 Tesla Model Y Performance. When purchased, they advertised 303 miles of range. They have since derated that. I think they advertised like 289 or something like that on the website now. But being that ours is a couple years old now, there's a little bit of degradation that has set in. So at like 100% charge, it estimates like 256, 261 miles of range, something like that. But took that vehicle and drove it from where we are in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, down to originally Fort Lauderdale, wound up being Key Largo, so the first island in the Keys, and then back. So if you Google map it, it says it's like a 11-hour drive.
Yeah, sounds about right.
If you Tesla it, it's about a 17-hour drive. while towing a jet ski in the Model Y Performance. So that was this past week's adventure.
Yeah. So how many miles you got in the car?
The car?
Yeah.
I think it's like just over 53,000.
So you got 53,000 on that. Because you bought your Model Y a little bit before I bought Model 3.
Just before.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I only have like half of that. I think I have like 24,000 on my car. But you have only one car.
You have the Lightning and Mach-E to spread across.
Yeah, well.
I have the Y for
I've had too many cars.
Yeah.
Go ahead, anybody in there in the chat. I know we only got a couple people in here right now. I'm sure some more will roll in very shortly. But yeah, go ahead and ask any questions you may have. Just blow them out there. We'll go ahead and answer as many as we possibly can tonight. And we'll go from there. Here we go. What are the pros and cons of solid-state batteries versus lithium-ion in EVs? What do you know about solid-state batteries?
That was going to be my question. Do you even know anything about solid-state batteries?
So
I don't. From
a high level, so the idea is, and I could be slightly off about this, but my understanding is that like a typical NMC battery chemistry right now, or even LFP battery, whatever, they use a a liquid, right? What's it called again? It's a I can't remember what they call it in the battery cells, and that's what I don't know. It's part of the battery cell. As I said, very electrolyte. We got somebody. Thank you, Kubi. So the electrolyte is a liquid, right? And what happens is then you have a semi-solid state battery, and then you have a solid state battery. So it's my understanding that semi-solid state's more like a gel, right? And it's not quite liquid, but not quite solid. And then the solid state battery is basically like a solid piece of material. And I guess, and once again, I'm kind of guessing a little bit, is that because the electrolyte, if it leaks out of its proper area of the battery cell, that's what can potentially cause a fire. If anybody wants to correct that in the chat, please go ahead and do so. But yeah, the idea of the solid state is that if you were to, puncture a cell or something like that, is that nothing would spill out and potentially, catch fire, basically, because it's solid state. Does that make sense? Or I could be way off about that.
What I always see people talk about with solid state is that they're more energy dense and that they're better from that perspective. But yeah. I don't know how the electrolyte in that regard enables that.
Yeah, and that's the thing is we have heard for many years now, because solid state batteries have been a thing of mystery for 20 years now plus. And so it's one of those things where everybody says we're this close to getting a solid state battery. We're this close to getting a solid state battery. And it's been like that for a while. So a lot of things have probably changed, and the development is probably a lot different than it was even 5 years ago.
Sure.
But I'm thinking they're getting pretty close to having a pretty decent, we've already heard a lot of companies that say we have a test vehicle with a solid state battery.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I'm sure they're very expensive right now, but I think that we're going to probably start seeing more of those in the next probably 5 years. We'll see them more common. But in the meantime, in the next 5 years, we're going to see typical battery cells, or 4680s, whatever you see with the current Tesla, and I guess still a lot of cars are still using the 2170 cells and the 16 or what is it again?
18650s.
18650s, thank you.
But everything's basically transitioning to LFP versus traditional lithium ion.
Yeah, and that makes sense because LFP is a safer,
of course,
way of having manufacturing a battery. There's less of a risk of it having a thermal event.
Less maintenance concerns as far as charging. So you can charge it to 100. People don't need to be the whole 60 to 80%.
It's not as detrimental to the battery to fully charge it. Exactly. I think some of the limitations of your LFP battery is charging speed is not quite as good. And I think that they're working. I think China right now has an LFP battery that they're charging at 4 or 5 C. I think it's even as high as 8 C.
That's crazy.
Yeah, ridiculous speeds, even on an LFP battery. So it can be done. It's just a matter of how the manufacturing process is, and of course, money is always the factor there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to see a lot going with the LFPs and moving forward, and we also need to see more manufacturing in the States because that's what's going to, hopefully, maybe keep the cost down. It depends on it.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we got Koopy here in the chat. Is Lightning getting OTAs like the Mach-E? I'm trying to think. I think I've gotten, and I've only had it for just under 3 months now. I think I've gotten 1, maybe 2 over-the-air updates with it. Yeah, I think there was some sort of 12-volt over-the-air update that we were getting with the Lightning. That I got that a few weeks ago, I think, but that was about it. I haven't gotten anything else. The Mach-E has actually gotten 2 or 3. Our 2021 Mach-E has gotten probably about 2 or 3 updates just in the past month. And the Mach-E one seems to come, it's weird. The Mach-E one seems to come in these weird batches. You won't get one for 3 or 4 months, and then all of a sudden you'll get an update, and then you apply the update, and then the next day it'll be another update. And then sometimes there's a third one right behind it, and boom, third update.
Do they do the same thing with Tesla, where they kind of they batch it by season? They bunch a bunch of good updates into the holiday update or the spring update?
No.
It's just whenever.
No. Yeah. Tesla does a lot of feature updates.
Sure.
Where it seems they're hey, we've improved this, we've enhanced this, we're giving you some little toys to play with here and there. And then, they kind of say, okay, and here's some bug fixes here and there as well. The Mach-E is very much
We got to keep it functional.
Right, right. I think one of the ones recently in the Mach-E was, I should look it up on my phone, was something about like we've adjusted the brake, the brake settings for the brake. Yeah, so it was like a more smooth transition when you're on the brakes, which they did.
Hydraulic brakes?
Yeah, I assume so. It just said brakes, so I assume they weren't talking about regenerative braking.
Is it hydraulic or is it electric in the Mach-E?
Oh, actually, that's what you meant. That's a good question. I actually never thought about that.
I'm trying to think of how you would update hydraulic brakes.
Well, I guess it would be the unless there's like an electric actuator on the hydraulic brakes or something like that. I'm not sure, but either way, it's probably some sort of electric
interesting
thing there. So, but yeah, like on the other point about like Tesla having like over-the-air updates all the time, like the Mach-E has not really gotten any real like cool feature updates that are like, oh yeah, it's all like, for one thing, like why doesn't Ford put like a dash cam functionality? Like the car's littered in cameras, just like the Tesla is, and there's no like dash cam functionality. And it's also, it doesn't have like a Sentry mode, which is a little frustrating.
Well, it took Rivian a while to come out with that too. The gear guard. Even though they had the cameras, I don't think that was something, they didn't have like the Sentry functionality for a while.
Yeah.
And then they released that as like an update. Because remember on Reddit, the Rivian subreddit was like, oh, we finally have gear guard now, and you can watch it from your phone and stuff like that.
Yeah, and actually, one of the other things that's still annoying on the Mach-E is when you're charging it, there is no charging speed indicator in the vehicle.
Still.
Does
the Lightning have it?
Yes.
So Ford has the technology.
They have the technology. They can do it. Basically 5 years the Mach-E has been out. It is still yet to be put in there. Now, weirdly enough, I think the 2025 Mustang Mach-E's might have it, but I don't even know if they're out yet. Like it's halfway through the year, and I haven't seen a 2025. I think maybe they started coming out, but not in very, very much. How is the update process? Does it happen overnight so you don't have to wait for it to finish? Yeah, so you can schedule, this wasn't the way it was back in the original days of Ford, but you can schedule the updates in your car. So I think you could pick days of the week and then the time of the day. So I think mine is scheduled to go any day of the week at like 1 a.m. Apply the update. And so it basically goes through that process of just, once it hits 1 o'clock, it starts the process of updating the car. And then if it's successful, great, you'll get a notification on your phone. You'll get a notification the next time you get in your car. If it fails, it will usually tell you it failed on the phone. And then when you get in a car, it sometimes tells you why it failed. We have an issue with the Mach-E every once in a while where the 12-volt battery is not charged up enough for it to run the update.
Really?
And the reason is because my wife, who primarily drives the Mach-E, she has such a short run to work and back that the 12-volt battery never really gets like topped up.
Does the DC not run all the time then? I mean,
it does, but I don't think it has enough time to actually fully charge the 12-volt. At least not enough for the threshold of the update to occur. Because I think the update wants like a very specific threshold for the update to occur. And if it doesn't have that, it will just fail the update.
So I guess that means that the DC is only turned on while the car is driving. It won't do it while it's in a resting state.
Right, and I also believe it charges the 12-volt when you're charging the vehicle off of level 2. However, I've even plugged the vehicle in overnight, and the update still failed. So I'm not really sure, because when the 12-volt battery goes low, it tells you plug in the vehicle to charge up your 12-volt battery.
Is this an argument for higher than 12-volt architecture?
Well, maybe.
I mean, Tesla's moved to 16.
Well, yeah, and 48 in the Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Which I think, is pretty much their way of saying we're going to start rolling this out to other vehicles.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on the equipment in the vehicle and what that equipment needs. If it has
to be witnessing the precipice of the 6-volt to 12-volt revolution. Is this the death of 12-volt?
Yeah, right.
You heard it here first.
100 years later, 12-volt is finally going to die.
12-volt is dead. New video caption.
Yep. So hopefully that answers your question, Koopy. Yeah, you should be able to schedule it in the car. You could actually, I think you can even schedule it in the Ford Pass app as well. I think that allows you to do it in there as well now, which is pretty nice. Let's see. Genie gives you 3 wishes to revolutionize the EV industry. What do you pick?
Ooh.
So Genie gives you 3 wishes to revolutionize the EV industry.
All right, I think there's 2 ways you can approach this question. You can approach it practically, or you can approach it like pie in the sky is never going to happen. Never going to happen. Charge while you're driving, right? Or like stuff in the road, wireless charging,
right?
And where you don't need to stop. Like maybe.
Okay.
Who knows? I'm going to answer this question practically.
Okay.
Like stuff we think may come in the near future. Maybe solid state batteries. Higher energy density. I think that's always that's the goal of EVs, right? Higher energy density, further range, charging time, of course. The faster you can charge it, higher energy dense batteries. Those would be my 2 right off the bat. Let me think of a third one that's not like a catch-all, because I think those first 2 are pretty much like everyone's wish for EVs. So I'll need a minute on that one.
Okay.
I don't know what yours are.
Well, yeah, I mean, devil's advocate to your options is China already there with what you just asked for?
You know, it might be.
I mean, it seems like they already have that technology in place. They already have the infrastructure in place. Like maybe not the charging while you're driving thing, but yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you. I think like, you know, obviously better density. If we can make lighter vehicles, obviously that helps with efficiency as well. So it's kind of like a, you know, you get it from both sides, which is helpful. And then, yeah, I think honestly, I think I would just like to see just more level 2 infrastructure.
You know, I think infrastructure across the board might be my third wish, especially where we live here. Infrastructure is like really lacking in the Southeast, in a lot of areas.
Especially here in Myrtle Beach, like for such a big touristy area, we have like 0 infrastructure.
Yeah.
So that's
I think that alone could revolutionize the electric vehicle market, because you see it just with Tesla opening superchargers to other manufacturers, with Rivian, with Ford, how they're able to use that. How before it was you got to go electrify America to electrify America, and 50% of your stalls are going to be functional, right?
Yeah.
But just opening up the Tesla network to that has totally changed how those vehicles can be driven. I think that would be my third one, is if we could overnight create infrastructure.
Yeah.
Though if I could make that wish, I'd wish for trains in the US, like they have in Europe.
Oh, like fast trains.
Like fast trains. That's how I want to revolutionize infrastructure.
Yeah, honestly, that's a good point too. Like we don't necessarily need to have electric cars for all. We could just better design a, you know, infrastructure for trains.
Yeah.
And electric trains can do the same thing.
Maglev. China is making the maglev train from the airport to Shanghai. I think that one is functional now, the airport to Shanghai maglev, but I think they're working on doing another one down to like Hong Kong or something. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Well, going back, not to go off that. So I think my biggest take is I would like to see more level 2 charging. It makes more sense for everybody, even people who don't live in an area that has a garage or a proper place to charge. Like I think a level 2 charging ubiquitously is kind of the answer for a lot of things. Like you, for instance, you have a garage, but you have no way to put a level 2 charger.
Correct. Yeah, it's really difficult. So my garage setup it's detached from the house. So I'd have to go burrow underneath concrete to install 220 out to my garage, which it could be done, right?
Right.
But it's cost intensive, it's labor intensive.
Mm-hmm.
Need to add the new breaker to the house, which isn't a big deal. But because of those barriers, I just charge off of 110, which works for the way I drive. It doesn't work if I was commuting every day or something like that. Like it wouldn't work for everyone's situation, but it works for us. But still, even charging off of 110 is not ideal, even if you don't drive a ton. So I would love level 2 in my garage.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you managed to survive off it, but you do find yourself having to use public infrastructure occasionally.
Totally.
So yeah, but like imagine if you go to the grocery store. Oh, there's level 2 here. Like a plug in for an hour, hour and a half. Oh, I'll go to the movie theater for a few hours, right? Plug in there for a few hours. Like that's the type of charging I'd like to see moving forward. It's just kind of putting level 2s everywhere.
Totally.
We don't need DC fast charging if we have plenty of charging opportunities in other areas.
And more hotels offering it. Exactly. I know when we're booking hotels, that's a setting, at least on like the Marriott app, which is who we primarily use. You can see like EV charging, and then it'll pop up like where the charging is, and then you can go cross-reference it with plug share or whatever. and see what's available. But that's absolutely a deciding factor when we book a place is, does the hotel have charging?
It's almost the first thing I do on the filter is like I try EV charging and see what's there first.
Right, exactly, totally.
So on that, actually, let's talk about this. I know we have a couple of questions here, but I want to bring this up. How do you feel about hotels that have pay charging stalls there, as opposed to having, just free level 2 for guests?
So I have two thoughts on this. The first is that I still kind of think we're in the early stages of this, where like giving away charging is a novelty kind of, so to speak, where not everyone drives an electric vehicle, so it's an incentive, right, where you can give away charging to entice people to come. It's not like they're giving away free gas because everyone's got a gas car, right? So they're not going to give away free gas. So I think it's more of like an incentive. And I do think that you're seeing some of that incentivization wane a little bit because more people are getting electric vehicles. It's less of a novelty. So it's like, hey, a lot more people have electric cars. We're not going to give this away for free. So I understand it from that standpoint. Another way I see that is I know some hotels, they won't charge you to park, but they charge you to charge.
Okay.
So if you're normally paying like $35 a night to park at the hotel, maybe you just pay the charging fee. I've seen that happen, and I'm okay with that too, because I can pay to just park the car there, or I can pay and get a free tank of gas out of it too. So I like that.
Right.
Obviously, I prefer free parking and free charging. That's nice. But I think I'm okay with paying to park for the most part. I'm not okay with valet parking. I don't like paying for valet parking.
I always skip valet if I can. Like I will always park my car myself.
Yeah, I try to.
Yeah.
Do you tip valet if you pay to park?
I don't think I've ever been in that situation before.
Yeah, I got a weird thing with tipping valet if I'm also paying $50 a night to park.
I mean, it's $50 a night. Seems
like double.
Yeah, that seems a little harsh. I don't know. That
might be.
Do you tip valets?
You tip them if you pay to park.
If you pay $50 a night to stay at a hotel, do you tip the valet as well? Put that in the comments. While you're down there, go ahead and hit the like button below the video, just so we can, get some more eyes on this. So that's an interesting concept, because we had a couple. This is the last thing, and then we're gonna move on to the couple next questions that we see. But like, I think one of the problems I had is that when we drove out to Colorado and we stayed at a hotel, we ended up having to charge at one of those charge point level 2 chargers, and I think they're only like 6.5 kilowatt, right? So we got there late at night at like 5% state of charge. We plugged the Tesla in. We had the Tesla Model 3 Performance with us. We went to sleep for the night, got out the next day. We were at like 88%, high 80s, maybe low 90s, right? So we didn't quite fully charge the car. I think it costed me like $27 to charge the car. Yeah, because their rates are so extravagant.
That's a lot.
Yeah, like I was like, I can understand like $10 to charge a car overnight, right? I get that, but like
I think DC fast charging rates for
it was more expensive than when I normally DC fast charged at a supercharger.
Is it worth it for the convenience?
That's the question, right? So do you pay more to basically charge your car overnight, or do you just go to a supercharger before you get to the hotel, or right first thing in the morning on your way out?
If anyone has a line to James Marriott or whoever like founded the chain, let us know. We'll talk to him and see what his business opinion is.
All right, let's move on. I think we stuck on that for long enough there. Let's see. Night Rider mode, AI. So did you ever see that guy with the Tesla that he turned it into Kit?
No.
Oh, no? It was really cool. He actually built an AI software that he can talk to while in the car, and it's the I can't remember the actor that played the voice of Kit, but he actually like designed the entire software. He got the rights from the guy who had the voice.
That's cool.
And like he was basically like, so he built this whole thing around it. It was really, really cool. But yeah, Night Rider mode, that'll I know some people have already done it.
Did you see that Tesla's including Grok in a future update?
I mean, I knew it was just a matter of time.
Yeah, I saw it on the Tesla subreddit, or maybe it's Tesla Motors. I don't know, one of the Tesla subreddits. It had like photos of a computer screen, or the Tesla screen inside the car that someone, obviously some spy shots or something, but it had like AI assistant Grok And allegedly, you're going to be able to use that instead of the built-in voice communication.
Right.
You'll be able to talk to Grok, which, as I'm sure everybody knows, was the AI agent in X, formerly Twitter, which is now owned by Elon Musk and Tesla. And obviously, there's a direct line there. So I guess they're incorporating that into Tesla directly.
Yeah, which I'm not quite sure how I can picture that functionality yet. But
I'll see if I can find it. I'll send it to you. They had like 7 pictures or so.
I know I heard about it, but I just never really followed up with it. Hello from Myrtle Beach. Hey, I think I know you. Going down the list here, more hotels offering it would be nice. Yes, 100% hotels offering level 2. I've been to hotels that have a fantastic level 2 offering, and I've been at hotels where it looks like they haven't touched them in like 15 years, and they're like completely unfunctional and just like gone. Like, it's just sad, you know, to see some of that. Like, you show up and you're like, oh, I could charge, and then you realize that they haven't been functioning in like 5 or 6 years.
Have you been to one where they're like, we don't have charging, but you can plug into this outlet here?
I've never asked if like they would do that for me.
I have. Shout out to the I don't think it's 4 Points, Four Seasons. Four Seasons is the expensive one, right?
I think so.
All right, 4 Points in Asheville, where I was like, hey, do you guys have EV charging? They're like, no, we don't, but we got this 110 outlet right here next to the front door. So they let me park up front all night and charge off the 110. They were super cool about it.
So I was at a hotel once where they had a level 2 charger that you had to pay for it, obviously. Sure. But like right under that, they had like a 120 volt outlet that you can easily plug into. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I plugged into the 240. Obviously, I plugged into that. I paid for it. But a Tesla pulled in next to me later that night, and he was upset that he couldn't quite charge because there was one charger. But I felt bad. The next morning, I got out there and I saw him. I was like, hey, do you want to take this for the rest of your time? And he's like, nah. He's like, I'm leaving soon anyway. I kind of felt bad, but you know, first come, first serve, unfortunately.
On that note, first come, first serve. You come up to a parking spot, someone charging, they're at 100% or they're done charging.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Do you unplug or do you leave?
Are we talking DC or anything? Did you say supercharger?
I didn't, but either.
Okay. I'm curious. So, see, that's hard, right? So I always hear the argument of like, you should never touch another person's car.
Totally.
Right? Even though you're not technically touching their car, you're still touching something that's attached to their car.
Yank at the cord out.
Yeah, I got it. I feel like it's that fine line of like being courteous, knowing that you're probably going to be full, or knowing that you had a notification on your phone that says, hey, your car is full.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you're charging at 100% at a DC fast charger, if you're not sitting at your car at 99%, then you should not own an electric car. Like, don't tie up a DC fast charging infrastructure like that. Like, I almost never charge over like 90% at a fast charger, and I especially will never do it if it's full. Like, if it's full and there's a line of cars, I'm there until I can get to the next charger. I unplug and I'm gone. Like, there is no waiting around for maybe 85, maybe like, no, I'm just get out of here. Let somebody else take the electrons while I'm there. But that is a good point there.
We just had it happen when we were down in Florida. Electrify America charger at one of the grocery stores down there. I think there were only 4 stalls. One person in there not charging at all. Brand new Hummer EV. One was broken. I don't know about the other one. And then the last one, someone sitting there at the fast charger at 100%, not charging.
Yeah. And I actually mentioned this in my last road trip video, because one of our options coming back from New Jersey was to stop at a Harris Teeter, which is a grocery chain. And it was an Electrify America, so 4 stations. And on the navigation, it said 004 available. And I said, my biggest problem with having DC fast charging in the parking lot of a grocery store, specifically a grocery store, but anything where you dwell for a while, is that people will plug in, whether it be they're at 70% or 5%, they'll plug in and they will take their sweet time getting their groceries and then coming out. It could be an hour and a half later, they'll be sitting on that hook, because if their car can take the juice, they don't care. So meanwhile, there's like a line of cars of people trying to like, I need to get on the highway. You know? Really
inconvenient when the Florida Keys and it's the only charger for an hour either direction.
Yeah. That's even worse. Yeah, that's a lot worse. Yeah, if you don't have options, which is that's worse. But Let's see. Allow for me available. Yeah. AI interface and a robo taxi would be neat. I'm sure it's coming. Robo taxi is going to be huge moving forward. Yeah. So I think that's going to be something big. Is AI is definitely going to be incorporated into a lot of electric vehicles going forward, for sure. Let's see. Airspeed of an African swallow. Do you know what an airspeed of an African swallow is?
It's probably quicker than a 7.3 diesel, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I'd say.
I'd say the swallow's quicker.
Try the other live stream next door. I think they might have an answer for you.
Lower drag coefficient.
Let's answer this last question, and then I'm gonna talk to you about your EV conversion.
Sure.
Let's see what we can talk about that. So, would you modify your personal cars with a solar panel if a kit existed? Okay, so this brings up two things: Aptera.
Yeah.
And the benefit that comes along with having solar panels on a vehicle.
Yeah.
So I've recently heard that Aptera has now partnered with Tello. Have you heard of Tello? They're making that little pickup truck. It's another startup, Tello. Yeah. And yep, that's it there. And they're partnering with Aptera, yeah, to put solar panels on that. I don't know where, probably on the roof maybe. To increase mileage, obviously. And then I've also heard of companies building tonneau covers for pickup trucks that have solar panels in them.
That's awesome.
Right. They're still in the beginning stages. I don't think they've found a way to tie it into the high voltage architecture yet, but the possibility is there. And I think that it could be something in the future once solar panels become better, more efficient, and can produce more 500 watt, 750 watt panels, compared to the same size as what we see today. And then I think when vehicles become more efficient, lighter, I think that's when solar panels will actually make more sense on a vehicle. There would be no reason for us to put solar panels on a car right now. I think that in most situations, you'd get maybe 10 to 15 miles a day at the very most in most cars, based on their efficiency. Obviously, they're claiming Aptera will do about 40 miles a day, and I think that's a perfect situation.
There's a channel on YouTube called EV4U, and he does a lot of EV conversions. Been doing it a really long time, very knowledgeable. He talks about this topic where he compares like the three big things people recommend. It's a solar panel on an EV. If you had an alternator type device on an EV that could charge the battery while you drive, and then I think he does like a windmill or something. If you're driving, it would spin, where it would charge the battery. And then the fourth one is your control, where you have just a normal EV. And he talks about the drag coefficient of each of the vehicles and the extra load on the drivetrain and the alternator standpoint, and based on perfect conditions, like if you're charging with the solar panel. But the TLDR is that even with the panel, the car without the panel goes further. And that's assuming there's a little bit of drag with the panel. But if you did, like you said, have the panel on there, you would only get a little bit of extended range.
Yeah.
So I think current state, my answer is no, I wouldn't do it. I would totally, if I had like a fold out panel, I would charge if I was like camping in the woods or something. But if it were functionally advantageous, totally, I would put one on there because it's free. The sun shows up most days for a couple hours a day. Free. It's like gasoline. It's like holding a bucket out and catching some gasoline.
I mean, arguably, I already do basically that, right? I have solar panels on my roof, and then I have my Tesla Powerwalls, and then I charge my car from them. So arguably, I'm already doing that. I'm just not doing it remotely.
You're not transporting.
I have to do it here. I'm my own fuel station at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing about Aptera is that because they're building them into the body structure, there is no drag because of the panels, which is obviously how they make it so efficient and useful in that potential situation.
There's actually portable energy stations too. Rivian set them up when they did the Dakar Rally with the R1S. There are these portable power stations that, like, imagine like a Connex box that they would bring out into the desert. They'd stick it in the middle of nowhere, and it would just like fold out with panels. They'd have tons of batteries on there, and it would be like a DC fast charger that the R1S that was doing the rally could stop at, charge, and then move on to the next power station. But they were using solar panels to charge those.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, and fun fact, there was a guy who actually crossed the entire country in his, I think it was a Tesla. I have to double check. Only on solar.
Really?
Yeah. He had solar panels that he had folded, had like proper panels that would fold up a certain way. He had them racked in the back of his car. And then every time he had to stop, which he would try to stop obviously during the day, he would find an area because he needed space, right?
Yeah.
He would take them out of the car, set them all up. He had an inverter situation set up so he can convert it to AC, because at this time he didn't have any way of going direct DC to DC,
Sure.
which would be obviously more beneficial. But he had a way to charge his car from solar, and so he would charge his car up during the day on solar, and then they would drive as far as they can on it, and then they would stop. I forget how long it took. It was like weeks for him to go across the country. I think it was maybe even over a month. But
it's a cool proof of concept, though.
Right.
And that's half the battle. Is like if you can prove the concept of it, you can introduce efficiency.
Yeah, 100%. That could be the future right there too. You never know. So, somebody wants to know where they can get one of those cool shirts.
You can go to revampedev.com. There are a couple of shirts on there. I think I have hats too. Yeah, I think those are the apparel items we have on there. But Revamped EV has some things on there.
I forgot to wear my shirt. Anyway,
sponsored by Under Armour.
Yeah, right. Don't say that. Under Armour, if you're looking for a sponsor. So on your Revamped EV, let's talk about what your project had been for the last couple of years. Now, you just finished it in October. Well, potentially you're still working on it a little bit here and there, but you got a 63 Beetle that you did something with. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, 1963 Volkswagen Beetle, standard issue when we had it. Had it for a little while and decided we were going to restore it, and restored it. But rather than put back the 1600cc gas motor, we put in a Hyper 9, or Deccan Hyper 9 electric motor, along with a Tesla battery pack. And now we have a little Volkswagen.
Yeah. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit about that, I do have a video on the channel already. It's kind of a quick peek. We actually never got around to doing a full-length video on it, so we're going to do that soon, I hope. And did a little bit of a quick peek at the car and took it for a quick ride. And yeah, it's a fun car.
I think we have almost 1,000 miles on it since we completed it.
Wow.
And tons of charge cycles, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think the only issue we've had thus far is the DC to DC converter we're using. It's an Elcon. The operating range is like, call it 108 volts to 300 something, 200 something. I forget the exact specs. And we discharged the battery so low that the battery pack wasn't completely discharged yet, but it was below the threshold of the operating range of a DC to DC converter. So it would shut down and then not charge to 12 volt. And then once you lose 12 volt signal, it would shut the ignition down from the motor controller. So the whole car would die. We weren't sure why. It was because the pack voltage was so low that you weren't getting eventually 12 volt to keep the ignition open. So that's the only thing. The solve for that would be getting a DC to DC with a wider operating range that covers the extreme low end of the traction pack, or just not running the battery pack down that low.
Or put another module in.
Or another module. that would probably do it too. But I don't have a high voltage. It's not the 144 volts, 114 volt.
114, yeah. And so you said you have 5 modules in there from like a Tesla Model S, basically.
Yeah, Model S, Model X, 5S, 1P. So we got 3 behind the rear seat. They're like vertically oriented, so they're like rectangles, right? They're like this. And then we have 2 flat in the front where the gas tank used to be.
Cool. Yeah. So check out the video on the YouTube channel there and see if you want more videos like that, just let me know. We'll definitely do more videos. We got a lot of stuff coming up later this year as well. We got some road trips coming up this year. We got a couple videos I haven't even got out yet, but we got out to CMP, which is a go-kart. Well, it's a racetrack actually, and they do go-karts and stuff. And we towed your go-karts out there and took them on the track. And I did a video. It was a little over a year ago, I think, the first time we went out to the track. And so you actually built an electric go-kart too.
Yeah. So there's like stepping stones. So first I took my now wife's bicycle one afternoon. I was like, I need this bike. I'm going to make it electric. And then I made the Beach Cruiser electric. So that was like the first proof of concept for how to turn something electric. And then I bought a go-kart, and I was like, let's make the go-kart electric. So did the same thing on that go-kart, which is what Paul's talking about now. And then we did the bug conversion. But yeah, we took a normal gas Tony kart and built some brackets for the motors and battery packs and turned the kart electric. So now it's got like, I think it's a 14.5 kilowatt motor at peak power. I'd have to go back and look at the specs, but it's a QS 13890H motor running a 72 volt 200 amp controller. The battery is actually 240 amps, so it's not operating at max threshold all the time. But it's a rocket ship. It'll definitely scare you.
Would you get up to about 70?
So it's RPM limited based on the gearing right now at like 62.
Okay.
Because we're using I think it's a 14 tooth front sprocket and I'm going to be wrong about this, but something like a 42 tooth rear sprocket. I'm not like a dirt bike guy, so I'm not familiar with the normal toothing. But based on that gearing, it's RPM limited at like 62 miles an hour. But there's a video on YouTube where someone made the go-kart using the same motor, and they did like a 32 tooth rear sprocket. So it's really small. It's just bigger than the axle on the rear, and they do like 100 miles an hour. So it's absolutely ridiculous. And it still breaks the tires loose from a standstill.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've probably done about 55 in it. Maybe, I don't think I've hit 60 in it. I've probably done about 50, 55 in it. And it's scary enough.
Yeah.
Like it's surreal how fast that thing gets up and just boogies. So, yeah. So let's see, waiting on your next Lightning service video. So actually it's ironic. The Lightning is currently at the dealer. So it looks like that is got a very, it's actually really stupid. So the little shifter, the electric shifter that folds down, if you have that console that folds up and over, then you get that flat surface, which I don't have. The button doesn't fold the shifter down anymore. I literally used it once, like the day I bought the truck. I was like, what's this button do? And it folded down. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Came back up. And then I got the service vehicle soon light. And then I was like, oh, that's weird. And then it went away. I was like, okay. But then I got like a powertrain fault on my Forward Pass app. And then I was like, oh, that's weird. A little bit of research, Google foo. Basically, a lot of people have the issue with F-150 Lightnings and just regular F-150s. Anything with that electronic shifter thing. Very known issue. Mine happened less than 3,000 miles on the truck. It's in the dealer right now for service. Haven't heard anything. It's been a couple days, but we'll see. You know, I think it's going to be a pretty. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a recurring thing. I think I'm going to end up having that issue again, probably. If they put the same parts back in it that are already failing, we're going to have the issue again. So that's my only concern, is I'm going to have that issue again in like a year or 2 years or something like that. So it seems like it's a pretty common.
That's not a new thing, though, right? The gas trucks have that also.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's a failure across the whole F-150 line, as far as I've read, is that a lot of people have that same failure with the stupid shifter.
I wonder why.
Yeah, well, just probably terrible gear sprocketing or something, or whatever that actuator is that folds it down. Just you hit the button now, it goes click click, and it doesn't move. So,
you know, a Ford engineer, we want to know.
Yeah, right. Let's get the inside scoop on that. Let's see. My 22 Bolt EV is getting a new steering rack, waiting on retaining rings before they can dig in. Wow, new steering rack. How many miles you got on the Bolt there? I'm curious. Only reason I ask is because my brother, who I think might still be in the chat here, he actually has a 2020 Bolt, who got a new battery actually, and he's got quite a bit of miles on his. I think he's over 40-something thousand miles on his Bolt already, maybe 50,000 miles on the Bolt. And yeah, I'm just curious how many miles. 49,000. Uh-oh.
It's a hydraulic rack, right?
I believe so.
It's gotta be.
Yeah, because it's an older technology EV. They didn't really do much with that over like 5 or 6 years, so it's probably just a hydraulic rack. But yeah, so hopefully you get that Bolt back all fixed up and everything like that. So Brandon Flash did the mod to put rotary selector in its place. Yeah, I actually saw that. And you know, it's the sad part. So
instead of that thing, the little knob.
So the Mach-E has the knob that you turn for drive select. Somebody, Brandon Flash, who's got a YouTube channel as well, he actually took out the shifter and put the knob in, which I was like, That's amazing. That's a fantastic idea.
The knob's cooler.
The knob is so much cooler. You know they're getting rid of it on the 25 Mach-E's?
The knob or the shifters?
The knobs on the
What are
Mach-E's.
they putting in place of it?
Stalk. They're using a stalk for gear shift, which I'm fine with as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I should probably look into that. Maybe down the road after the warranty's up and everything like that, and maybe if it breaks again or something, I'll just do a knob thing. But yeah, so yeah, that I like the knob better. I don't know why Ford got rid of the knob. Let's see. Still driving it. Oh yeah, of course you're still driving it. Well, it's just a steering rack. You'll be fine. Probably do another 30,000-40,000 before that thing goes completely inside.
I got an issue with the steering in the Volkswagen actually.
Oh yeah.
I was moving around the parking lot and I was cranking the wheel over really hard because I was trying to look at something in the front wheel well, and I felt like the wheel skip, and the steering shaft has splines and a little coupler that goes down near the steering box. And the splines, I think, actually stripped. It was the original part, as far as I know.
Oh yeah.
And it's just tightened on there with like a bolt that goes through this flattened side.
Yeah.
Of the rod, and you can actually, like, as you're turning the wheel now, you feel it skip side to side. So it's like a couple of the splines are gone. So I just bought that new part. So hopefully the 60 some odd year technology doesn't fail me again. It was good for 60-something years.
60 years, right? I guess you could, there's some German engineering for you there. So.
No steering rack.
Oh, man, that's funny. 15 miles from the Apex Iona, just FYI. Oh, that's cool. Were you at the launch of the Apex Iona station? Because I was there. I was at the launch of that. That was a cool day. I tried to get you to go. You were busy or something.
Somewhere else,
yeah. I think it was in December or something like that. But yeah, I actually drove up to North Carolina, Apex, North Carolina, for the opening of the first official Iona charging station in the United States, and it was good. It was a very nice place, and it's so the story behind it. It was an old gas station, right? So the building is still there, and they converted the building into like a snack shop where you can use the restrooms. They got snack machines. They have a little like what do you call it? Like a cafe in there, so you could get something a little bit more fresher than like vending machines. And then out front, they still have the canopy where they had a couple gas pumps, but those are gone now. And then that's just open. And I think they have like tables out there, tables and chairs. And then behind it, I guess they bought that property, or maybe it was part of it originally, but that's where they lined up the chargers. So
I forget where it is. It's somewhere out west, maybe like Midwest-ish west, but someone took an old gas station and turned it into like a new EV type rest stop. It might have been Rivian. Rivian had like an adventure stop, or there was another privately owned one too.
There was a privately owned one for sure.
Yeah, but they like turned this old style gas station into a new EV charging stop, which seemed super cool. I'd love to go visit it. I think it might have been off Route 66. Now that I think about it.
Well, the one place we stopped back in the Lightning on the way back, I can't remember the name of it. One of the Loves? Was it Loves? No, I don't think it was Loves. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was Loves. It wasn't Loves. It was something else. Anyway, they actually had the gas station or the gas pumps right under a whatever you call it, a roof
canopy thing.
Yeah, like you normally would, right? Yeah. Wow, thunder. That's crazy. And then at the very end, they extended the canopy out, and then they put the 2 charging stalls.
That's awesome.
So you could charge 4 EVs at one time between those 2 charging stalls. So it was like I pulled up right next to other people in their gas cars, and I plugged in the Lightning. And actually, the funny thing was I pulled into the gas station, and I was like, okay, where are the EVs? And I'm looking in the corners, because you know how they're always in the corners or in the back. Or
edge of the parking lot.
And I actually drove right by them, and I went, I don't see where they are. And then I drove all the way back, and I was like, oh, there they are. They blended in so well.
Was it a pull-through?
Yeah. Oh, it's pull-through, just like a gas pump. Yeah. And actually, the only reason I noticed them was because there was a Lightning there. And I said, oh, there's a Lightning there. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. He's actually charging at that stall. So that's when it dawned on me. But yeah, I thought that was really cool to kind of see that.
Speaking of pull-throughs, on our Florida trip.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Had a charge, right? So obviously, telling with the Model Y, your charge port's on the left driver's side rear quarter.
Yep.
So charging at a normal Tesla stall may be a concern if you don't have a pull. And we probably stopped about 16 times there and back, round trip.
Right.
Guess how many times you dropped the trailer?
I feel like you told me, but I'm going to say twice.
Yeah, it was twice.
It was twice.
It was
Okay.
twice. Only twice. So I thought those are pretty good odds. We only had one pull through.
Okay.
And it wasn't a Tesla.
That was going to be my questions. Okay.
Only one pull through, and it was like a traveler's rest. It wasn't a normal Tesla charger.
Okay.
Might have been Match 5 America or something. But all the other ones, we either had a pull-in Tesla, or we were able to kind of like finagle it, where we didn't have to drop the trailer, but only twice.
Okay.
Which I was kind of surprised about, honestly.
So when you got to like the Tesla superchargers that are just like the normal like bank of chargers, did you have to take up a couple stalls when you did that?
Yeah. So normally I try and grab like the end one.
The end ones, yeah.
Right. And I'll block like 2 or 3. But if I'm doing that, I won't leave. I just stay by the car.
Yeah, and I think that's the right thing to do. And the thing about superchargers, there's so many of them usually. You know, there might be 16 at the minimum, but usually it could be like 20, 24. And
right.
Like, so
I try and aim for the ones that say like 17 available.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you try to do your best to try to work. And I do the same thing when I drive either of the Fords. When I go to a supercharger, I try to go to the ones that are bigger, and I try to go to the ones that I feel like I'm going to be less detrimental to the infrastructure. So I'm not taking up 2. Occasionally, sometimes it's weird. It could be like 3, depending on how it's set up. So yeah, it happens. You know, that's just the way charging is right now. Is that you don't have an option sometimes. And I think we see that a lot with, you know, just other manufacturers who have access to superchargers, right? They pull in and they don't have a choice. They have to take multiple stalls.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is until the version 4, the proper version 4, at least the dispensers come online. And then hopefully we start seeing actual version 4 stalls soon. Yeah. So, all right, we got Solar Punk Steve in the chat. Speaking of Florida, and speaking of a shout out to a YouTube channel, Solar Punk Steve, awesome stuff. You want to see some really awesome solar stuff and what you can do with it with a trailer, go to that channel. Yeah. Like that is the place to go. When you guys coming down to Florida? December.
Yes, December.
Oh, well, yeah.
Hopefully sooner than that, because Solar Punk Steve coming to a revamped trailer soon.
Yes.
So that ties back to the go-karts we were talking about.
Yeah, get on it, Steven. Come on. We gotta get down there.
I do need to fix the go-kart, the gas one again. So we have issues with go-karts every now and then. It's always the gas one.
It's always the gas one.
Now it's leaking oil again.
Oh, well. So yeah, we'll get down there soon. Can't believe you didn't visit me, Kevin Rude. Yeah, see, you were in the same state. You should have.
It was also pouring in Florida. We were driving through that area, and I had to stop 7 more times.
Yeah, right.
It was 17 hours. It's a long drive.
That's all right. I will never forget about you, Steven, when I go. So I will always come and see you down there, down at the coast there. What do they call it? The
Space Coast.
Space Coast. Thank you. Yeah. Let's see. Any concern with cybersecurity risks with EV cars? It's always pouring in Florida. That is very true. Cybersecurity risks with EV cars. The possibility of your vehicle being a ransomware. You know, that's okay. So being in this industry of information technology and IT, right? I see it everywhere, right? So it's always malware this, ransomware that. You know, this is what happens. You know, people click on the wrong thing. It all comes down to really security of the operating system. I think any operating system has vulnerabilities in it. I mean, I don't think there'll ever be a perfect operating system. And so I think with that is that the answer is yes. There will always be, maybe not ransom. I mean, that would suck if you had a car that you couldn't go to work because you had to pay a couple Bitcoins to somebody.
Send Bitcoin to this wallet.
That would be awful. But yeah, like I think that there's always the possibility. I've heard of in the past of people who have hijacked certain aspects of like Tesla vehicles through certain means. But have you heard that they do this thing every year, Tesla?
A hacking competition?
Yes.
Where they will give you the car if you can hack it to the point where you can drive it?
They basically give like a bunch of teams a car, and they say, if you can find a vulnerability, if you can get into the car somehow or into the system and and I guess drive it, right?
Yeah.
They basically give you, what is it?
I thought it was the car.
They give you the car, but I think they also give you a monetary value as well. It might be like $100,000 or something like that. But yeah, it's like teams of people who try to do that. So I think that when you have those white hacker, what do they call them? White hackers or whatever they call them. when they're trying to, do this stuff, I think that's fine. We're going to find vulnerabilities. It's better for them to do it and, get that stuff out before the people who are going to take advantage of it in the wrong possible ways.
Totally.
So what else do you have on that? What do you think about it?
I think they're probably more secure than a normal car, specifically modern cars with like the wireless key fobs. Because you see people, I literally saw it last week on Reddit where someone was like, this person was in my driveway at 3 a.m. and they had this like
device
thing here,
yeah,
and this antenna like sticking up off their back, and like Ghostbusters, and they're just like walking around and they were looking for signals from those key fobs.
Yep.
And they can copy that signal and replicate it and then steal the vehicle.
Yep. Yeah, we've seen that with I've seen that with Teslas because they're RFID cards, right? So
Sure.
they have a passive field to them, and if you can get something with a high enough gain, a high enough signal to find that field, you can potentially copy that field and then use that to your own advantage, right?
Yeah,
and I've seen people who were able to basically repeat the signal. They basically take this and they repeat it over here next to the car, and that gives them access to the car. And once you have access to the car will allow you to put it in drive immediately. Even if you took your card and tapped it on the window and then threw the card, you could still drive the car away. It gives you like 30 seconds. And if you don't do anything like for 30 seconds, then you have to tap the card on the center console. But yeah, that's an option as well. It's that people can potentially take that NFC information and then just duplicate it and then use it immediately, which is why they always say use a PIN number to unlock your car, your Tesla. So
it's almost like any car nowadays, not just EVs, because everything is run by a computer.
Yeah.
Just to unlock it, exactly, your phone.
Yep.
Total non sequitur. Speaking of communication with vehicles, have you seen what Volvo, Mercedes, there's one other manufacturer too, has as far as communicating loss of traction to the cloud to other vehicles around you?
You were telling me about this.
So for everyone that doesn't know, let's say like you have a Mercedes and a Volvo driving down the street in the same geographic area, and one of the vehicles loses traction. It actually submits that data up to their cloud, and it shares that information with other vehicles in the geographic area. And it says like there's a little light on your dash that's got like the traction control symbol with a cloud. It says like another vehicle near you has lost traction. Be mindful of your driving.
Interesting.
That seems crazy to me. But to tie it back to what we're talking about, like everything is interconnected.
Right.
Even if it's locally with like a key fob, or it's over the air with like your updates or your communication with cloud-based services, all of that is a point of entry, right, for someone that could be nefarious. So as manufacturers are building these systems, they, I'm sure, are taking security in mind and trying to build it with as minimal a risk profile as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a concern.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always going to be a concern regardless. I mean, especially moving forward with the way technology is and stuff like that, that's always going to be a concern. So let's just hope that, manufacturers know how to, lock down their stuff well and combat it and kind of go from there. I mean, I think another thing too, then we'll get off the subject, API access, right?
Sure.
So API access is huge. So if you don't know what API access is, it's basically if you are a programmer, if you write an app for a smartphone and you want to incorporate that into a specific vehicle, you can develop an app like there's a few that I have on my phone that I used to use. I'm trying to think of it and I'm blanking out.
Tessie?
Yeah, I think that's one. Tessie, and then I have TesLab is another one. And what you do is they can use Tesla's API, which is open. They allow you to have it, and then you can build around that API to get access into the vehicles, and that allows you to get this real-time data. And then you can basically make your app get real-time data from the vehicles, and you can, obviously spread that out to your people who signed up for your app. They could be paying for a subscription. Like, you can make money off of that. And so that is basically getting information from people's cars and then sharing it with a third party application or company, however you want to look at it. And so there could be some privacy concerns with that. And maybe you share a little too much, or maybe the car gives access to too much, right?
Sure.
That's a concern.
That's why a lot of a lot of software developers, when you're giving access to API keys, you actually select like what you want to give access to on your device, or if you have a website or something. It's not just the blanket token access to you get everything.
Right.
It's very rare, and well, not, I guess maybe not rare, but handed out with discretion. Yeah. And a lot of savvy developers will be like, "Are you sure to give all this access?" Like they toss warning flags before you give like a full access off token. But yeah.
Another one, Recurrent. Have you heard of Recurrent?
No. So wait, is that someone charging, right?
So what they do is they monitor your car through API, and then they monitor your charging and your charging habits. And what it does is it basically keeps a monitor on your battery health over time.
Yeah.
And it basically tells you, oh, you're in the top so many percentage of drivers on the road.
Yeah.
And like your car is this healthy compared to most cars in that class or your range or whatever.
Your car needs to eat more vegetables.
Your car needs to eat more vegetables. Be healthy. Ford initially was in the Recurrent thing, but they locked down their access so badly that Ford vehicles cannot work with Recurrent anymore. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to tinfoil hat. Is it because Recurrent displays battery degradation and they're afraid of, or maybe not afraid of, they're concerned about owners experiencing higher degradation and don't want that to become a talking point in vehicles?
It's very possible. It's very possible, because that's basically what it does. It basically tells you what your battery health is, estimated battery health, but it basically tells you right there. So it works great on the Tesla. Anyway, let's move on. Let's see. So Solarpunk Steve dropping a new video tomorrow, and you're in it.
I'm just the resident YouTube rentee.
So hey, go over to Solarpunk Steve's channel, subscribe, go see his new video. It's gonna be awesome. It's worth the wait. Doubt it. Most manufacturers are terrible at software.
Yes.
What if the driver disables the traction control manually? So that's a good question. I was gonna bring up, like, in the wintertime, that light must be constantly blinking because people are just losing traction all over the place.
But then you want to know. You want to know if everyone around you is losing control.
But what happens if you're the guy doing it on purpose? But you're doing donuts in a parking lot and people around you are like, yeah, I like that idea too. Sergi's gone. All right, Sergi, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. My Radar weather app already has used data from their users to track how they drive and sell it to automotive insurance providers so they can raise your rates. See, that stuff.
That's a good thing to bring up.
That drives me nuts.
I think it's Progressive. That OBD2 thing. Would you do it?
No,
I don't.
Absolutely not.
I want to be a hoodlum. I don't want my insurance company to know I'm a hoodlum.
Yeah, like I hate those. Yeah, those little tiny things you could either you stick it in the OBD or you like put it on your dashboard and it like forwards that information to some whatever. I absolutely hate those things. I think they're the menace to insurance. Like they're already charging you way too much for insurance, and they're using this device as but we'll lower your insurance rate because of this. And it's just a catch. They're just trying to catch you in the act so they can raise your rates even more. That's all this. Maybe that's my tinfoil hat for today, but that's what I believe. I think I'm never going to do that. Yeah, but that is something you opt into. My Radar is a freaking weather app. Yeah, okay. So on that point, weather app.
I have more questions now. I don't even know what My Radar is.
Yeah, I gotta look that up too. My Radar. Something you opt into. My Radar is a weather app. So it's a weather app that is forwarding the data to insurance companies. But how do they know which insurance company? Well, I guess.
How do they know if I'm driving a car or if I'm just driving a bicycle at 60 miles an hour?
Right, on your phone, not even your car. Yeah, but how do they know who you are? Like, how do they give you that information?
This one's got aviation features. How do they know if I'm not in a plane?
This guy was doing 200 miles per hour on his way to work today.
And is the user selling it or is My Radar selling it? It's got to be My Radar.
They're making the kickback on this. Yeah. It has to be. It has to be. Yeah, that's an interesting. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear about that one. I'll have to look that up because that's
nefarious. Nefarious is the word.
That's a good word. That's a very good word.
Though My Radar, if you want to sponsor us, hit us up.
Oh, well, anyway, I think we are pretty much coming up. We've been doing this for just over an hour now. And if you have any more last minute questions, throw them down in the chat. If you haven't hit that like button yet, make sure you smash it, as they say. We'll if not, we'll just go ahead and close this up. I'd like to thank everybody so much for supporting. I know we didn't get a lot of people in here tonight. It's probably because it's a Wednesday night. We should have done this over a weekend, but I wanted to get as close to our 5-year mark as possible. Yeah, what are some cool connections you've made by being a YouTuber? Well,
yeah, Paul.
Well, ironically, we met through technically my channel because I did that training at the firehouse on EV safety and whatnot. And that was just a very ironic situation that you reached out to me. Not even through the YouTube channel. You reached out to me through Facebook, I think it was, or Instagram, or one of those things.
I didn't know about your YouTube.
You didn't even know about it, but that was the reason it all happened. So that for one. I've met quite a few people. Well, you reached out to Solar Punk Steve. We met each other in Florida last year, which was awesome. And congrats on your 5 years. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And I met quite a few guys, especially when I do some of the events out like IANA, when we went out to the IANA station in North Carolina last year. I met a couple people out there. One of them had just started a YouTube channel. Like, he's just starting to get into it. I follow him, and it's just really cool to meet a lot of people. I've met some bigger YouTubers, but it's hard to get into that clique with the bigger YouTubers because they're busy and they're not going to really spend much time with YouTubers that are kind of small. So we're still waiting on Tavares to reach out to us to help him finish his McLaren. Tavares, yeah. I mean, it's just but it's cool. I've met so many people. I've actually we had a couple people locally that have reached out, and I've met in person. Like, if you're ever in like the Myrtle Beach area and you just want to like, hey, I want to meet up or something, just hit me up on through one of the social medias, either on X or Instagram or whatever. Just send me a message. I'd love to hang out with anybody. I mean, I always try to make time for, if you've watched one of my videos or all of my videos, I'm always up for meeting new people and seeing their take on electric vehicles and just kind of having conversation. I think that's the biggest thing, is just having the conversation and seeing what other people's opinions are on the subject as well. Because I think everybody has a different take on electric vehicles. And some people think they're the future. Some people think that they are going to eventually be good, but they're not going to waste their time with them now. And I think everybody has a point to their thoughts, but I always like to hear more of that. I'm open to all that stuff. So, but yeah, thanks again for the congrats on the 5 years. Thanks to everybody out there who has watched and subscribed and liked. And thanks to people like Kevin who have, helped with videos, have supported the channel through other means, and definitely have made me want to do this continuously. And I love it. I love everything I do on the channel. I love what I do for everybody. Hopefully everybody gets a little bit of chuckles or laughs or even a little bit of knowledge. And and thank you for joining me today on the live stream. Of course. Thanks for having me. So, and of course, if you want to reach out to Revamped EVs, you're on Instagram. Take a look at your website, Revamped EV. I think I might have linked it. Well, maybe I'll link it afterwards. But yeah, take a look at Revamped EV as well. A couple projects there. And we'll do more videos too. We got to do a dedicated video on the go-kart. Yep. And we got to do a better video on the bug. Yeah. And get that out there. So, let's do it. Cool. Well, everybody, thanks very much for watching once again. And we'll see you on the next episode. I'm going to do it. Do what? I'm going to do my outro. Do it. You want to do the other half of my outro? I don't know it. Oh, that's a shame. All right, everybody. Welcome to the future. Welcome to Tech Motoring. We'll see you soon. See you, everybody. I don't